ArcGIS Online has always had a couple of different ways to access and manage your items. The main way is what you're seeing here. That's the item manager. I call it the content item manager. And you can go through and make changes to individual items in here, no problem. For data in particular, if we just open up one of these data layers, let's view item details and open it up. Okay, so this data has a REST endpoint associated with it down here. And if I go click view, you can actually see the REST endpoint. And this REST endpoint is what is driving access to the data. That blue interface you saw over here really is not the data itself. It's just a graphic user interface for humans. This interface is actually meant for computers to access. But you can do different actions with it. So let me show you what I mean. You can go down here, you can do a query, you can actually do an individual query on it. And you can actually return the data. In this case, I'm looking at my example point data. So this is the interface that your computer uses when it's accessing the actual data. It doesn't use an HTML form, it uses a JSON format though. So this is what it looks like. So your program, your web browser, this is what it's used. This is what's used to be able to go and access the data directly. So that REST endpoint has been there all along. And I've told you about it in other videos. And if you haven't watched that, I'll give you a link to it here. Now, in the service, I've had a problem where I want to get this web map offline. And you'll notice one of the layers, it says export tile is not enabled. And if I go into the properties associated with this service, there's no setting here to be able to change that. And if I go to the settings, again, no setting is available here. But knowing this interface, this web interface I'm looking at here, is really just driving the REST endpoint behind it, we could go take a look at the settings there. So we go to Overview, and we'll scroll right down to the bottom here. We'll put me over here. And you can see right here, there's the URL. And if I click on View on this, I can actually bring up the actual endpoint and the REST endpoint associated for this. You can see here, all the supported operations are really about just using this service. But there's this admin link at the top, and this is what's important. This admin link allows me to go in and make different changes to it. And notice the interface changes a little, and if I scroll down, I get different supported operations, including edit service. What this would allow me to do is edit the actual service definition that's used to publish this service on the ArcGIS Online organizational services. Pretty cool. And you'll notice right here, there's export tiles allowed as one of the JSON properties. Well, I brought up the documentation for this. It's right here. And you can see the two options are true and false. So we can literally go and make that change ourselves. We can just go and change this to true. And then go down the bottom and edit the service, and that submits the service. Now it's changed. We'll close this. We'll come to this page. We'll refresh it. I'll click the same URL view really quick, and you'll notice now export tiles allowed. True. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. So let's go over and take a look at our field maps designer again. And we still have this error, but there's this refresh option. We'll click that, and now all of a sudden offline is available. And if we dig into content here, you'll notice that error has gone away. So it's happy, and now I can take my data offline, including that custom image layer that I published. So when you're in the ArcGIS Online interface and you're trying to find a setting that isn't there, remember, you can always use the REST endpoint itself just by going in and clicking View, changing it to the admin, and then you can actually change whatever it is you need to inside of this. It's important to look up exactly what it is that you're trying to make a change to. So in this case, the export tiles allowed has two options, true and false. So it's pretty easy to be able to make this change. Now, recognize that if you do make a change, you're going to potentially change something that isn't valid, therefore it won't work, or at worst, it could actually disable or break your service. So it's important to make changes with caution and with purpose. Look up things, use the Esri developer documentation, and don't do it on things that could be catastrophic if you make a change to it and it does break. Thanks a lot. Hopefully you learned a little bit. Have you used this feature before? Did you know about it? Let me know in the comments. Thanks.